What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Writer and the Fighter. I'm your co-host, David Golden from OregonSportsNews.com. This week, joined by Jordan Gunther of American Top Team Fort McConnell's Boxing Academy and On Target Training PGX. What's up,
That's
dude?
right. How you doing, man?
I'm living the dream. Our fearless co-host, Jake, is missing in action because he is trying to get some training in. He's got some stuff to work on, by himself. He's doing some grappling training alone. He's social distancing. He's certainly not doing jiu-jitsu with another person. That would be illegal. So he's not doing that. But this was the only window he had. So he's unavailable today. We called in the ace in the hole. Jordan brought him on. So here we go. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit sore from, been eating like an asshole and lifting a ton, trying to get ready to put Smitty down. I think I'm going to win this thing. So, I'm good.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll come in second because I'll win, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. As if I beat Jake, that's first place in my heart, and that's really that's what I'm after here.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's not so bad. And if we both beat him, he'll feel, if we both do better than he does, he'll say he didn't try. He'll try to have some excuse.
Yeah.
He hangs out with Brazilians enough. He knows how to make excuses for losses.
Dude, he also then knows how to eat. When I was down at American Top Team out in Florida at the mothership, working with the striking coaches down there, training with them and kind of helping them with their teams. And I spent a week with our head coach, and Ronnie. I can't think of the guy's last name, but another heavyweight. He used to train and fight out of here.
Ronnie Marks.
Ronnie Marks, yeah. So it was Fabiano Scherner, Robbie Marks, myself, and another handful of Brazilians. Man, those dudes can put away food.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a pretty good eater for a small guy, but I could not hang with these guys. I probably gained 7 pounds in 7 days just hanging out with them, trying to keep up.
Yeah, well, and you're talking about some big boys there too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ronnie Mark's a big guy. Like, he's real thick, and anyone who's stood next to Fabiano knows how hulking he is.
Oh yeah.
He's scary big. Like, there's like big dudes who are really tall, and then there's big dudes who are just big,
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys. Like, you shake his hand and you're like, thank you for having a gentler handshake than I anticipated.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But he's still got it for being, he's like 50 or something, but he gets out there, man. He trains, he rolls. For one of Sunshine's, not this last fight, but the one before it, we were considering, we were looking at some heel hook entries, and Fabiano had no problem demonstrating some super athletic entries into some heel hooks. It was really it was cool to see, but it was like disconcerting to see somebody that big move so fast and fluidly, just diving onto the ground, snatching up ankles. It was crazy.
Oh, he's been doing it for a lot of years, man. It's like second nature to him. It's what he does.
Yeah.
When you see when we've seen him at Submission Underground, and I think he's won all but one match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not anyone to just mess around with. He knows what he's doing. But
oh yeah.
And that's the reason why he's the man, right? He's the man over there.
Man.
So
fearless leader.
Yeah. And I don't know how we got there. We were talking about you eating. That's right.
Yep. Brazilians, big guys.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about your weight gain a little bit, but my weight loss is going. It's going all right.
Yeah.
I think I'm down a few pounds. We'll see what happens. I've been trying to stay away from the scale a little bit.
That's good, man. It's real easy to get kind of obsessive over it, So once a week is plenty if you're, following protocol and everything else, and that way you get to see those results without worrying about those ups and downs, day to day.
Yeah, the hardest part for me is I've been kind of watching my like tracking all of my walks and stuff, and like seeing where I'm at each day. And when you have an off day and you see it like dip, you're like,
Oh yeah.
damn it, brings your average way down, and you're like, son of a bitch. But
Yep.
it's not the end of the world. But like on Saturday, it was raining and we didn't go anywhere. We didn't really do anything, and it
Yeah.
really like messed my whole business up. But we'll see what happens, man. I'm trying to get after it. Doing what I can. We'll see. See if I can keep away from the daily calories. That's my my big issue right now.
That's it, man. Nickels and dimes. That's how you get got.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Are you able to do any training with any fighters at all? I guess as a striking coach, you can't really do anything in this climate, can you?
I really can't. I mean, I've got people hitting me up and kind of, they're talking to me about trying to get some work in, but I'm trying to do my best just to be like part of, like a positive member of society. I spent the first 30 years of my life being a shithead, so I'm trying to like make up for it a little bit and like function and do, uphold my social contract and not treat myself like I'm different, like I'm special, like it's okay for me. So I haven't, but I also don't know how long I can go, man. I still haven't got my Trump money. I didn't qualify, or I haven't received any like small business loans. I haven't heard back about unemployment. So, I've got some savings that I'm living on. I've always been really good with money, but I think more than anything, it's just that like I'm so used to being physical and active, man. I hold pads 38 to 40 plus hours a week. So to go from doing that to just nothing is like mentally it's tough.
Yeah, I can only imagine, man. I like for me, I'm just like an extrovert, I like to be out in the world doing stuff. That's what's hard for me about all this. But like
Yeah.
I for all of you guys, it must be a real pain in the ass. And like I can only imagine what like some of these very active fighters who are, the type of guys that are like, oh, I need to stay in shape. So when they call, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like there's like a handful of those guys that are probably losing their fucking minds. That would kill me, like if I were in that position. But
Yeah,
what
man.
what are you gonna do? I mean, states are opening back up now. So if you
Well,
want to go down to Florida, you could go back and train down at the mothership down there. They're opening right up.
That is super tempting, man. I didn't actually think. I bet flights are pretty cheap too. That's not a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea.
No.
You want to avoid
right.
the East Coast at all costs, man. That's where all this bullshit's happening. Stay where you are.
No, you're right. That's right. Shelter in place. You got me.
But hey, if you get a phone call, at the 11th hour, and you got to go, you got to go.
I get it, man. Well, it's funny because you ask about like, oh, what are those guys doing? The guys who are super active, the guys who are doing 2-a-days, always ready, always grinding. Yep. I can tell you, man, they're taking tasteful nudes with their wives and then filming TikTok dance videos because, my good, a good fighter from our gym, and I like him. I'd say that we're friends. We're not good friends yet, maybe down the road, but I've been working with him more and more. But Austin Vanderford is hands down the hardest worker I've ever worked with. And he's, they've got a good little home gym setup, but that's
get you so far.
Yep. So that's what he's learning to do, man. He's learning the fine art of tasteful nudity and dancing. So I expect when we get the next win in the cage, he's going to have a good little dance number afterwards. He'll be ready.
Yeah. Well, as long as he doesn't pose nude after the fight, we'll be okay.
I mean, if I looked like him without any clothes on, I'd probably be naked most of the time too. I get it.
Yeah, I guess, man. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's something about fighters not wanting to wear clothes that's like always an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Like every season of The Ultimate Fighter is on. Like I don't think anyone's worn a shirt for more than 5 minutes on that show.
No, that's a good point. Well, they're all
Chael's probably got the record. Chael's probably got the record for wearing a shirt the most on that show.
As a pretty staunch Republican, as he'd be the first one to tell you, that probably had something to do with it. He just probably thinks it's just not something you do.
Yeah, got to keep it professional.
That's right.
Do you know who Mel Kiper is?
I don't.
Mel Kiper is like the NFL draft expert,
Mm,
and he's like a long-standing NFL draft guy. Everybody goes to him. He's like the number one guy, and he's super conservative, professional dude.
mm,
Where he literally won't leave his house in jeans in case someone on the street stops him because he feels it would be unprofessional.
Jesus, man.
Dude, it's so crazy. And he's got this like pompadour deal going on with his hair. His hair is like always combed straight back, like very east,
Mm,
like old school. Dude, it's so
I
funny.
can I can
It,
see him. I can
yeah,
picture it.
it's pretty ridiculous. The idea that you shouldn't leave your house in jeans is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
Oh yeah.
Like all those like 80-year-old people that are like sitting in old houses in Chicago, and they're like, I need to go downtown. I better put on my finest duds.
Yeah.
Like that's so over with, man. Like let's just relax, ease up, throw on some
Plus,
jeans, be
yep.
comfortable. It's 2020.
Especially at that age, man. About 80 years old, I don't know if I'm gonna be wearing pants at all. Like, sorry, man. I'm just gonna go at it.
Yeah, well, if 50 is the new 40, maybe 80 is the new 60. Maybe it gets like better as you get old. I don't know. Probably not. Probably declines way less.
Yeah.
I
That's
guess a
all
case by case
downhill.
basis. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
80 is pretty old. I wouldn't mind making it to 80.
It's a good number. It's a good goal.
Yeah, yeah. I always joke that, like I always tell like old guys who I think golf. I tell them I just want to be old enough to golf my age. Like, I've never played 18 under 100. So
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a goal when you retire.
yeah, that's right. I haven't played golf in like 15 years, so I'm I'm pushing that limit further and further back.
Yeah. Get it.
Yeah, golf's hard. You ever golf?
I went twice. I had fun, but I was terrible.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's really hard. But if I don't like when I stopped trying to like murder the ball, I actually did all right.
yeah,
But I still had to bring 6 beers and 30 golf balls in my bag, and that kind of helped because every time I just knock one, you take a bad cut and it just disappears on you. You just grab
yeah,
another ball out of your bag and just try again.
yeah, for sure. It's playing golf is way less fun than just going to the driving range. That's
Yeah.
why I'm glad they've invented Top Golf. Top Golf is pretty awesome.
I still haven't been yet, but I'd like to. I'd like to go to that one out in Hillsboro.
Yeah, well, save up some money because you end up spending more money there than you expect. It's very easy to spend like $60 to $100 at Top Golf.
Jesus.
Well, the drinks are expensive, man, and then you're just you're buying time in the thing, and you're going and doing your thing.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you guys are playing a game. Everybody's competing, having fun, talking shit, and end of the night, your check comes, and you're like $68. What?
Oh yeah, man. And
Yeah,
I'm really like I'm good with I'm really good at saving money. I'm really good at being fiscal, but I'm also really quick to just spend money. Like if I'm out, if it's like, well, fuck it. We're already, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's get another round. Let's get dessert. Why not? Oh, fuck it. Who cares? And all of a
I
sudden, then it turns into what should have been like a $30 evening out, a $30 date is like, oh, that's a $75 check, man. Like, you know,
yeah.
easy come, easy go.
Yeah, I guess, man. My wife has taught me how to be better with money over the
Yeah.
last 20 years, and I'm terrible with money. Like I don't look at how much money we have because if it's there and I know it's there, I'll just spend it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we have money, I can do this. It's no big deal. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like rent's covered, we're good. I mean, or the mortgage now, but
Yeah.
like back then, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I need those. I could use that pair of shoes, but
Yep. That bag of dice.
so I'm not doing that anymore, thankfully. But I still have wants and needs, but mostly it's wants, and I just look at stuff on the internet obsessively and try to figure out ways to get it without spending real money on it.
Scheming. It's a fine art.
Yeah, yeah. I used to be good at it. I don't know what happened. I think I got lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
and you start earning money, you go, oh, I could try to hustle and cut deals and do this and do that, or wait for it to go on sale and watch it, and or
Yeah.
find one that's a little scuffed up. I'll just pay for it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah,
I start
exactly.
when I'm having a good month, man, because I mean, what I make month to month, it can dip 30-40%. But man, if I'm having a good month, my favorite expression is just always, well, what's your time worth?
Yeah,
Could,
right.
I mean, could I mow the lawn and change the oil in my car? Sure. But how long is that going to take me? How much am I going to spend doing it? And then how much can I just pay somebody to do it? And then have that time available to do whatever else I might want to do,
Yep. Yep, $100. It like $100 will like when you think about like how do you spend that versus how long it would take you to make it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I always think about is $100. Like how long is it going to take me to make $100, and how long is it going to take me to spend it? Like, am I going to be able to make it back if I spend $100? Like, am I going to make it back faster? But sometimes it is better just to have someone come in and do it. Sometimes you just have to do that because you don't have the time. You got other shit going on. But
yeah, there's
whatever.
that too, man.
Yeah, and like other times it's stuff you just don't, like, you're not comfortable doing. Like I'm just not going to climb up on my roof and clean out the gutters and clean all the shit off my roof. I'm just not going to do it. So
Yeah.
I got to pay a guy. I know I have to. Such is life. You know what else we have to pay people to do?
What's that?
Fight in cages so we can watch them.
What?
Segway. Whoop,
whoop, whoop, whoop,
whoop. So there are no immediate fights, but the UFC is claiming on May 9th they're gonna have fights. It's gonna go down. They haven't said if it's gonna be in Florida or if it's gonna be on Fight Island, or if Fight Island is outside Florida somewhere. We don't know, but they're claiming it's going down. That's the word on the internet. Everybody's talking about, where it's going to be, and all these fighters are hoping their next fights are on Fight Island. I keep seeing all these potential bouts are talked about, and everybody's like, man, I hope my fight's on Fight Island. Like, I don't understand the obsession with fighters who want their fights to be on the island, because you don't know what that island means. You don't know if there's if they're part of some territory that's going to tax you super hard. You have no idea. You don't know. Why you want to fight on an island so bad?
I think it's just for kind of the once in a lifetime. Like, if you talk to fighters who are in the UFC or in Bellator now, most of them have probably been fighting for, about 10 years, let's say. Puts them all in their mid to late, 20s, 30s thing, about that window. If you look at when Kickboxer came out with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bloodsport, all those movies that were all about like fighting tournaments on like islands, it's like you get to live that fantasy out, like I think that's part of it more than anything else, is like this crazy once in a lifetime opportunity to go be one of the guys who was on Fight Island.
Yeah, totally. Did you know that you brought it up, so I can't help but talk about it because I literally was just reading about this the other day. In Bloodsport, the character that Jean-Claude Van Damme plays is based on this dude who had this outlandish story that he went and fought in some underground thing called the Kumite and blah blah blah. And he tells this whole wild story, and he talks about being special ops and all this stuff, and it's all been like completely debunked. Like, it's all bullshit. This guy was just like this crazy con artist, and somebody paid him for the story, and Jean-Claude Van Damme got famous for it.
God, you're killing me because I can't think of his name.
Well, it's the same name as the character that Jean-Claude Van Damme played. They named him after him. I just looked this up.
It's like a Duke or a.
Yeah, it's something stupid.
Dukes. Last name is Dukes.
Yeah.
Frank Dux.
Frank Dux.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is all this like, if I understand correctly, he's also the guy who had his buddy like pick him up in a pickup truck and like drop him off in the woods and be like, all right, bro, come get me in 3 days. I got a fight tournament out here, but I can't tell you where. And then he takes his big bag and like wanders off into the woods. His buddy picks him up 3 days later, and he's just got a giant trophy. And he's like, I did it. I won.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's off of his rocker. I've seen interviews with him on what was that fight show on Access TV? With Bob
Inside MMA.
Inside MMA. He did an interview with them, and he kept his glasses on the whole time, like sunglasses on, because he said he has so much brain damage and CTE from fighting that like the light sensitivity was getting to him. The guy is a trip and totally full of shit.
Yeah, super full of shit. Super full of shit. I was just reading about that the other day. I thought that was kind of funny. Like Jean-Claude Van Damme essentially gets famous because this guy had some bullshit story that some Hollywood type was like, yeah, we'll take that. Here's $100,000. It was the 80s, there was money to go around. Everybody was high and ready to make movies.
That was it, man. They go out to Muay Thai Island, and then they don't do any Thai boxing. Like, no, man, you're doing Savat. Like, what are we doing over here, right? And then nerds like me, like, lose our minds over it because it's supposedly, and I'm not even like a Thai boxing guy, but I get offended for them because it is not, there's no Thai boxing in that movie, but he's in, Muay Thai Island. Like, it's the craziest thing.
Yeah, it's a little wild. And you had a homeboy from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always fun.
Oh, no, it was a good movie. I might make my kid watch it. She's been doing some jiu-jitsu, been boxing with me a little bit. I think it's time that she sits down and sees, where this could lead. Get ready.
Get some crushed up glass and just like bring it in, set it by the couch. Just be like, when this is over, I got something to show you.
Yep.
Poor kid.
Oh, right.
Poor kid doesn't know what's coming to her. Yeah. How did we get on Bloodsport? Why did I bring this up?
So it's why people want to go out to Dana White's Fight Island.
Oh yeah. Why people want to go out there? Like I just rewatched Chael Sonnen's fight for Bodog that was on an island.
Yeah.
It's on an island, I guess, but I don't know. I don't see the appeal. If it was so cool to fight on islands, they'd have been doing it this whole goddamn time,
That's a very good point. But yeah, and whatever they do, I really hope it's not an outdoor fight. As a coach, I hate anything that happens outdoors, man. It's just even more stuff you have to. I mean, we've got enough to worry about, like the fighters, the coaches. Everybody has enough, to consider already. And then you start adding in weather, start adding in wind, you start adding in fucking bugs, insects, things like that. Like it just, it's just never a good idea.
Well, in any place that's an island is for sure going to have some humidity because, like, it's not as if they're going to go to they're not going to go to an island, in Alaska. You know what I mean? They're going somewhere warm. So there's going to be humidity. So these guys are going to just be covered in sweat. Like, you got to put them somewhere climate controlled, man. There's got to be AC going. Because even in a place where there's like an arena that's in a humid place, it's not as if the air conditioner is really gonna cool that building down a ton. I mean, it's a huge place, and then you have all that body heat in there anyway. Like, no, thank you. I don't want any part of that shit. That sounds terrible to me. Like, I have friends that are like, oh man, I can't wait to go to Thailand to go see go watch some Thai fights in Thailand. It's going to be this great experience.
Mm-hmm.
All I can think about is how sweaty it must be in there. It must smell so bad and so sweaty. Like, I mean, it's just like, you got like 25,000 people crammed into a little building, and it's Thailand, so they're all smoking like 4 cigarettes at once. It's just sweaty and gross and loud, and you got to watch guys dance before they fight. It's a whole thing.
And I don't know. Terrible music, man. That terrible stadium music. Like, I've had some coaches in the past that insist on playing it while they teach their Thai boxing classes, and it's the worst thing in the world, man. It is awful. Like, it's bagpipe music, but worse. Somehow, I don't know, man. It's just awful. And all respect to the culture. I like sealing the ring. I like the respect. I like that they like talk shit through dance before they fight. I think that's pretty cool. But the music, man, that's where I draw the line. That stadium music is awful. It is terrible.
That's it for you. That's the big no-go.
Yep, that's where I draw the line. And my wife and I, we talk about Thailand because my kid's 10 years away from graduating and being an adult, and we'll probably move over there and for at least a little while because I can do everything I'm doing here just over there, and live at the beach, eat good food, and make way more money because my cost of living goes way down. So
Yeah,
I'll send you a postcard.
that's fine. I won't come visit. I don't want to be somewhere humid and hot ever.
Yeah.
That's not my bag at all. My wife loves those kind of places. I'm not into it. She's always talking
Yeah.
about how her and our kid are gonna go to, Ecuador and Belize, all these places. I'm just like, look, I'll go with you as long as I can stay wherever it is I need to stay that has air conditioning. Like, I went to Panama. I did
Hmm.
that. Like, that was like my one humid trip. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to do that again. I'd way rather go to Europe. There's like so much more for me to see over there.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you could go to Holland and you could go do some Dutch kickboxing stuff.
Oof, man, I would love
Though your
to,
cost
but
of living would be through the roof, and then you'd
no.
have to listen to techno every day, right? Isn't that what they do over there?
That's exactly how that works.
That's what it would be all fucking day.
Yeah, that would almost be. I think that would actually be worse. So I guess I'm just stuck staying here.
Yeah,
Those are the,
right.
those are the options.
Mike Swick has like a very successful camp over in Thailand.
Yeah.
He has the American Kickboxing Academy school over there. Like,
Oh yeah,
and it's huge, and he's just like he's living it up, man. Like all his social media stuff looks like he's having a grand time.
dude,
Like,
it's the move, man. I mean, you can. There's world class jujitsu and wrestling that's found its way over there because so many MMA fighters were starting to go over there to train Thai boxing. So not only are you getting you're getting your kickboxing, your Muay Thai, but you're also there's really good. I mean, Team Quest has a big facility out there. AKA does.
Team Quest
There's
has one out there.
yeah, yeah.
Who runs it?
Um, Dylan Faisal. He did, although he's actually back in the States because of the Corona stuff. But yeah, he was running the MMA side of things, I believe.
Huh.
Uh, yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah, one of the coaches from Naga Muay Thai here in Portland, actually, Alex Branham, spent some time over there training and fighting.
Hmm.
We got a fighter from an amateur over at ATT named Cash that he was
Uh-huh.
over there for about a year on a scholarship training and fighting. He fought MMA, he fought Muay Thai. Like, yeah, they got good good opportunities for MMA fighters out there. Along with all these giant Thai boxing gyms. These camps are putting in CrossFit gyms. They're putting in yoga facilities. They're doing all there. It really is like a one-stop shop for fighting. But the one thing that's consistently missing is like good Western boxing. So that's where I would just slide right in, and take, I'll let them do the kickboxing stuff. That's fine, man. I mean, I'm good, but not great at that compared to them. But I can probably go teach a thing or two about Western boxing for MMA and kickboxing. So that's, be the plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's an important tool to add to a game anyway. I mean, I think it goes without saying that the jab is the most underutilized tool in mixed martial arts, and boxing
Yeah.
will teach you how to jab. I mean, that's pretty goddamn important. It's
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many fighters have you seen just knocked down from a jab? It happens all the time, like in
Yeah.
MMA anyway. You know what I mean? Like, nice stiff jab comes out, somebody's not ready for that. Pop, quick,
Yep.
quick move, and you're on your butt. I mean, GSP made a career out of using the
Whew.
jab. I mean,
He's the
he
guy,
he
man.
wrestled and he jabbed, and that was all he did. I mean, it was wild. But you look at who his boxing trainer was,
Yeah. Freddie
right? I mean,
Roach.
if you're training with Freddie Roach, you're going to have a good jab, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and I tell all the guys that I work with, like, you know, if you just calculated all the strikes in a fight, if you just watch the fight and see what's happening, guys throw more punches than anything else. Period. And you're going to spend more time on your feet than on the ground. So boxing to me is the most important thing. Like, and I'm super biased because boxing was what I like to do. And boxing's really the main thing I coach. I also coach kickboxing as well, but I understand that wrestling lets you decide where the fight takes place. Sure, and you need to be able to stop a takedown or
Mhm.
blast through one if things aren't going your way on the feet, but you need your boxing to set up your takedowns. So, and
Yeah, for sure.
it's one of those things. Like, it's MMA is a fist fight, period. Like, it's a fist fight that has kicks, knees, and elbows, and then it can hit the ground, and then a whole nother thing starts happening on the ground. But it comes down to, man, it's a fist fight. You know, two guys with their hands up, circling around each other, trying to punch each other. And then if you get close, well, maybe then we're going to grapple. If you play outside, well, you might throw some kicks, but for every one kick that's being thrown, there's 10 punches. So fucking, any fighters out there, man, find a boxing gym, find a boxing coach, and work on your boxing.
Yeah, I mean, a boxing coach probably made Rampage the best version of himself that we'd ever seen when he was in the UFC.
Oh yeah,
He was killing it when I don't remember the name of that trainer that he was with, but he was, man, his hands were on fire back then. But I mean, at the same time, people were winning fights with just one skill set at that time, and you don't see it as
yeah,
much anymore. I mean, you really have to set things up these days. So, and people are using kicks like jabs now, those calf kicks. People are using those
yeah,
almost as a jab. So, the world is changing little by little. But it is evolving as we go. Fight game continues to evolve. The ooh, sorry, just made my computer freak out. This next UFC card, they were supposed to have a bunch of title fights on it, but now it seems like we're not really sure what's going on because
yeah.
they don't know if we don't know if the Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje fight's going to happen on this
Mm-hmm.
card, or if we're going to have Khabib's going to be back. The one fight we know that's going to happen is Dominick Cruz is going to challenge Henry Cejudo for his title for the 135-pound strap, and that's kind of a weird fight to make, I guess.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, I forget where was Cruz in the title contention fights and things like that before he got injured this last time. I'm trying to remember because I know there was like between Cruz, Dillashaw, and Garbrandt, there was like a little, back and forth between all three of them, kind of fighting each other, and like I don't remember where Cruz ended up before he got injured. I know he didn't have the title.
well, his last fight, he lost. He lost that fight to Cody Garbrandt, right? Wasn't that
Yeah,
his last? And then he's just sitting there,
yeah,
like he's not doing anything. So you're sitting around, and then you're just gifted a title shot, which is fine because up to that point, I mean, this guy had won like 10 or 11 or 12 in a row, something like that. I mean, it
yeah,
was it was a ton of fights. I mean, he won. He beat everybody he needed to beat. He beat T.J. Dillashaw. He beat Uriah Faber. He beat Demetrius Johnson. He beat like Joseph Benavidez, Brian Bowles. I mean, he beat everybody. I mean,
oh yeah,
and those were all like really really good fighters. And Dominick Cruz was, man, he was top of the food chain for a minute there, but
yeah.
uh, but the way he got outclassed by Cody Garbrandt was kind of, I think that's really what hurt him, was that Cody Garbrandt put it on him so hard. And so
Cody beat him. Like, you can lose and you can get beat, and he got beat in that fight.
yeah, absolutely. I think that the thing though that people use in his favor is the split decision win that he had against TJ Dillashaw, because Dillashaw was such a, he was looked at as being pretty dominant. People were really
Yeah.
excited about what they saw with TJ Dillashaw, myself included. I mean,
Oh yeah.
if it wasn't for the EPO thing and the and his weird obsession with trying to move down to 125,
Yeah.
we who knows what's going on with him at that point, but that having that split decision win makes a big difference for Dominick Cruz, and Dominick Cruz is a very promotable guy. So like, I don't hate the idea that he's going to get a fight
No,
But
and I like watching him fight. He's a fun fighter to watch, man. I really appreciate what he does, but it's not he's not always as exciting. He's kind of a decision guy. He's not as
mhm,
exciting as a Garbrandt who's going to go in there, bite down on his mouthpiece, and throw bombs.
yeah,
But I don't know. I mean, just for a guy like me, I really appreciate the way that he fights. I appreciate the angles, the footwork, the little punches, setting things up, moving around, the kicks. You know, I like watching him fight. He's a fun guy to watch. So I mean, I'll tune in anytime.
yeah. I kind of I don't have that feeling about him. I feel like he is a bit of a tactician and he uses that to his advantage, and I can appreciate that. But I've seen enough of him bouncing around, and TJ Dillashaw did the Dominick Cruz better than Dominick Cruz did when TJ was champion, like, for
Yeah,
me. And so I don't know, man. I just didn't like that. Maybe if I go back and rewatch some of those fights, I'll have a different opinion. But Dominic Cruz rubs me the wrong way so hard. He's such an asshole. He's so arrogant. He's such an arrogant
yeah.
prick. That
It's
I find it hard to even tune in when he's fighting because he's so unlikable to me. The other thing he does that I don't like is they use him as a commentator for the UFC,
oof,
and
yeah,
some people love him, some people hate him. I think he's a great analyst, but a shitty commentator. Like, I think
yeah,
if you have him if you have him on TV breaking down fights, I don't know if there's anyone better. He's really, really good at that. It's amazing to hear him break things down. But like when it's live during a fight, he does the same thing that Joe Rogan does, where he obsesses about one thing and he never
yeah,
shuts up about it, and he always wants to prove that he's right. And so he'll point it out to someone else and get them to say it, so he could be like, "See, I'm right." Like,
yeah,
ugh. So
yeah,
he's so off-putting to me, but
yeah.
whatever. He's a better. I guess he's a better fight to me against Cejudo than Jose Aldo is. Like, with who is the person who was supposed to get the fight.
I
Aldo's coming off a loss. Like, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, oh, hold on, loss. Like that last fight could have gone either way, but I think the reason why I would rather see Aldo because Aldo's got a great track record against high level wrestlers in some really entertaining fights. You look at the way Aldo dealt with and here's where I'm bad at names, but shit. Mark Henry trains him out of New York. God, I can picture the guy, but he's been at Frankie Edgar.
Frankie Edgar.
You watch that
Yeah.
fight, and God, who's the other little guy? Who's the little guy that Conor McGregor kicked in the guts on 9 days' notice?
Oh, Chad Mendez.
Chad Mendez. So you watch Aldo in both of those fights, and like his takedown defense for a kickboxing soccer player is phenomenal. I would love to see how he matches up against a guy like Cejudo, who arguably has one of the best pedigrees wrestling wise, like in the league.
I guess, man, but Jose Aldo's 2-4 in his last 6 fights. Like, I don't know, man. He lost two pretty dominant. Like, there were two dominant performances by Max Holloway, and then Alexander Volkanovski beat the brakes off of him, and then he went in and he lost to Marlon Moraes. Like, I don't know. I didn't like them giving him the title shot. I think Peter Yan should get the title shot. I think he's the most deserving out of any of them. And
Okay, but that was at 45, and also the sun was in his eyes. He had, kind of a stomach ache. He had a bunch of stuff on his mind. I think maybe he and his wife were arguing. Like, I,
yeah.
I mean, I'm super biased. Like, I end up being very ride or die with certain fighters, and Aldo's just one of those guys, man. Again, one of those guys I just enjoy watching the way that he chooses to fight. So.
I like
Therefore,
watching
he
him fight
deserves,
too.
a title shot because I like him. So that's
I
how it
like
works.
watching him fight. I think he's an incredible athlete, and he's one of these guys who we kind of overlook now that he's become like human. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because he was so dominant for so long, and then he just wasn't. And who knows why that's happening? For
age.
him. I mean, Well, he's not that old. I mean, he's got a lot of fights. So I mean, I guess
Yeah.
his in fight age is high. He's got a lot of time in the cage, but he's not that old. I'm not saying USADA, but I mean that's a thing.
Oh, Brazilians.
Exactly. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it, but I still think Henry Cejudo is ducking Peter Yan super hard because he knows
Hmm.
that he's going to lose that fight. So he's going to duck him. He's going to try to get every other fight that he knows the UFC will put on first because maybe it sounds flashier because he's already saying that he wants Jose Aldo after he beats Dominick Cruz. Okay, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so you want the guy who hasn't fought in years first, and then you want the guy who's coming off two losses,
Yep.
and then maybe you'll fight the guy who's probably the best guy in the division. Maybe
Yeah.
you'll do that. Oh, and by the way, by that time, TJ Dillashaw will be back, and who knows? Like who knows what happens because
And it.
you want to talk about split decisions. Hey.
Yeah. When it also, if there's someone you're trying to avoid, the best thing you can do is, get them in there with other people rolling the dice because everybody gets caught eventually.
Mhm.
And so, if he's trying to avoid the guy, well, if Cejudo's going to have two more fights before they run into each other, that means that he could have two fights and maybe he loses one of those, maybe it's just free bunch of time goes down, and then Hudo can say, you got to earn it, man. Climb the ladder and then come find me.
Well, yeah, assuming he doesn't lose one of his two fights, right? Because
Yeah,
you fight Dominic Cruz or you fight Jose Aldo, and you have a chance to lose for sure. Especially Aldo. I think
I
I
was
think
gonna say, I
Aldo's
think
very
Aldo beats him.
dangerous. Man, you go back. I think we all fell in love with Jose Aldo in the WEC, but you go
Yeah.
back and you look at his UFC run, and it's not what it was when he was in the WEC. It doesn't have that same feel. He doesn't
Hmm.
feel like that just vicious killer. And then you go watch you watch that the second fight with Chad Mendez. Like, man, Chad Mendez put it on him in that fight.
Yeah.
Like there were moments where you thought Chad Mendez was gonna finish the fight, and back. I mean that was a very back and forth battle, man. Like that
Oh
was
yeah.
a close back and forth fight for a lot of it, and I'm not saying Chad Mendez is a bad fighter. At one point in time, he was the second best 145-pound fighter on the planet, bar none, hands down. Like,
Oh
and
yeah.
he just had to accept that, right? He wasn't going to get through. He wasn't going to get through Aldo, and then Conor McGregor was born, and everything changed, right? Like everything was different. And
Yeah.
I mean, Chad Mendez wins that fight against Conor McGregor. Who knows where we're at in his career? But he has the PED issue, and so
Hmm.
it's a very interesting division, or I guess two divisions, right? Because we're talking 135 and 145 a little bit
Oh
here,
yeah.
but I mean, the fighters that can kind of flow between those two weight classes, even three weight classes, if you think about 125ers that move to 135, there's a lot going on. And, you know, does Henry Cejudo beat all of those guys? I don't know. I mean, he probably beats 80% of them, but eventually one or two of them are going to crack him. I mean, it's
Yeah.
going to happen. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the Dominic Cruz fight. He's always preached that the ring rust isn't real, blah blah blah. That's one of his
Yeah.
things that he swears. It's like, that's not real. Man, you can say that all you want until you're blue in the face, man. We've seen it a million times. I mean, just
Oh
because it
yeah.
hasn't happened to you doesn't mean it won't happen to you. So see what happens. I don't know. I don't like the idea of Dominic Cruz being gifted this shot. But then again, you said the thing about fighters that you just want to have the shot because you like them, and Uriah Faber always gets title shots because
Oh
people
yeah.
love him, right?
He's
Nobody's
another one of
been
those
giving him
guys,
more.
man.
Nobody's been given more chances than Uriah Faber because
I
if Faber got
know.
Peter Yan, he was getting a title shot. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah, he was.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely, man.
he's lucky he got through Ricky Simone. So hey.
Yeah, I still, and again, this is just my bias, as a guy who's in the room with Ricky, a couple times a week. I still think Ricky could have got that one done, man. I think just I don't know if it was necessary because I've heard of other fighters. They get in there with like a legend, somebody that they've been watching forever, somebody that they used to watch maybe even like when they first started, and there is a little bit of that like you deify them, you make a god out of this person, and so now all of a sudden you're in there with them and you give them too much respect, you worry too much about them. If that wasn't Uriah Faber, if that was just somebody else at his age with his record who's had the fights that he's had, I think Ricky could have gone in there and just all right, old man, your time's over, get out of here. Probably could have put it to him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, but if he didn't move his head and the other person hits, you know what I mean? You can't leave your head in the center there, especially not for a guy with as much experience as Uriah Faber. I mean, that was unfortunate, but I agree with you. Ricky had all the tools to win that fight. I mean, the UFC obviously was. I mean, that was a win-win for them, right? Like Ricky Simone gets the win against Uriah Faber, and it's like, all right, we've got a new guy. We can push, and Uriah Faber wins. We can try to do the Uriah Faber title shot thing again. Like, it's a win-win for them. But it was it was a big fight. I really hope to see Ricky back in the win column soon, and hopefully after all this pandemic stuff goes away and we're all done being pandemic bored and sitting around, then Ricky can get back in there with his short hair. He won't have his long hair to be a distraction anymore, and we'll see what happens.
I think he had something scheduled. I don't know.
He was supposed to be on the Portland card.
Okay, cool. I didn't know how official everything was or not, but so from what I've read, Dana's going to take the people who are scheduled for the cards in April and kind of give them priority. So, I hope Ricky's staying sharp, staying ready, because, what I've been telling all the pro fighters I work with is like, just stay ready, stay in shape, don't get fat. At least keep your cardio where it ought to be, keep your weight where it needs to be. We can work on the rest of it, but man, the phone's going to be ringing. And when we get opened up again, there's going to be fights every weekend, man. They're going to be doing fights every weekend. And so even if, your name's going to get called, and if it doesn't get called right away, if we're looking at a 35-pound matchup for, I don't work with Ricky, one-on-one. I'll give him some advice during sparring and things like that, but like, I'm not his striking coach.
Yeah.
That being said, man, if there's a matchup that, that his team likes, be ready for it. There could be a 35er, two 35ers could be squared off. One of them can't make it for whatever reason.
Yep.
Jump in there, man. Be ready to go. Be ready to say yes,
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you always have to be ready, especially when you're in a position to move up the rankings, like you really have to be ready. If you're already up there, if you're already in the top 10 and you feel confident that you're going to get a good fight, you don't necessarily have to be barking and trying to get fights. But, when you're one of the guys that's trying to get there, you see someone fall out, that's your opportunity to speak up. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that's how Ricky got the fight with Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber made some comment about coming back. Ricky retweeted it, and quote tweeted it, and with the little emoji of the guy raising his hand, and then that fight was born. I saw that move on his part, and I was like, I like that, Ricky, that was good.
Yeah.
And so, hey, sometimes you ask and you receive. So, put it out into the universe. If you don't, somebody else will. You never know what happens, right? I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think I think Dominick Cruz probably didn't have to ask anybody. I think the UFC probably asked him if he was down to get a title shot, and he said yes.
Yeah.
So good for him. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't love Dominick Cruz, and I don't love Henry Cejudo. If there was ever a fight where I wanted both guys to lose, it was that one. But hey, if Dominick Cruz beats Henry Cejudo, I'm not too pissed about it. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that, because then we could talk less about Henry Cejudo. He's such a creep, man. He really is.
Oh yeah.
They call him like the cringe king or whatever, because he's like weird, and he says really cringy shit. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is he's embraced that and he's trying to do it more, but it's not the stuff he does on purpose that is gross. It's just when
Yeah,
you hear him talk to people, you're like, are you all there, man? Like, do
you
you
gotta
do you know
wonder.
what you just said? Like, he's really weird. Like, it wouldn't blow my mind if he got arrested for something really gross or weird. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if they broke down his house and he had just like two refrigerators full of shit that he ate every day, like just feces, and like that was his thing,
Yeah.
or if he's like one of those guys, they go to his house and he's got a room like just full of dead rabbits or something. I could see that. He seems really
Yeah.
creepy. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean,
It's just he's got dead eyes, man. There's just something about him.
yeah, he's very hollow. He feels like, yeah, it's very hollow. Like maybe he's like without a soul,
Mm,
if that's a thing.
that's
He's just
maybe.
like, this is
Yep.
his purgatory. He's just wandering around being a weird, creepy fighter.
Well, maybe he traded his soul for those Olympic medals.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but buttoning it up though. I mean, you're right. You're right about Cruz. I don't really like him doing live commentary for that same reason of just like, there's two fights happening. There's a fight between him and the commentary team, and then there's a fight happening in the cage.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's got that Michael Jordan syndrome of like, if you're going to be one of the best to ever do something, you're probably going to be a bit of a dick. So, and I go back and forth about needing to like separate people from their real life versus who they are when they fight.
Uh-huh.
I'll kind of pick and choose who I'm going to do that with. And he's one of those guys where I'm like, I'll give him a pass on the real life stuff because I like to watch him fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how like you can have a friend who you got you and I we watch fights and we talk about fights, and
Mm.
it's funny how you can have a friend who really likes a guy that you really dislike, and
Yeah.
you're always surprised by it. I'm always surprised when somebody likes a fighter that I don't like. Like, oh man, you like that guy? God damn
Yeah.
it! And here,
Well,
and here I thought we were on the same page. No, I mean, I have a buddy that was like, back in the day, his favorite fighter was Sean Shirk.
oof,
He
weird.
loved Sean Shirk. Like, he loved Sean Shirk just wrestle fucking dudes. It was his favorite
Yeah.
thing. And like, this guy didn't even grow up wrestling. He didn't
Yeah.
wrestle. In fact, when I was wrestling, he was making fun of me for wrestling when we were kids. Like, oh, you got to wear a singlet. That's so stupid. Da, da, da. I don't know, man. Like, and then he
Yeah,
just he just loved him some Muscle Shark. Loved the Muscle Shark,
dude.
Sean Shark. I couldn't believe it. Blew my mind.
That's crazy. For me, I was always a very like footwork centric fighter. I moved a lot. I wasn't a guy who wanted to do a firefight. I moved well and I could move a lot. So that was, when I see a guy taking, these same principles and doing it at the highest level, I'm like, yeah, that's the idea. But, to people who, it's boring if you don't appreciate that kind of fight style. It's definitely way more boring. Like I was excited about Gaethje and Tony Ferguson because like
Yeah.
you know that's just the most violent fight you could put on paper. Period. So that's exciting for everybody else. But then there's that nerd part of me that's like, yeah, I want to see him switch stances and then shuffle off and hit that 45 step pivot. Oh wow, he did it. Cool. And it's like, he's just dancing in there. I'm like, you guys don't get it. But,
Yeah.
it's just,
Well, yeah. No, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from 100%. But you know what? There's guys that can do that and still finish fights. And
yeah.
they can make it exciting. You know what I mean? Like, are you a Floyd Mayweather guy?
See,
See, see,
see, no, you got
see.
me.
But wait, let me guess. You like Bernard Hopkins?
Oh, yeah,
See,
absolutely.
see. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You can make footwork exciting if you want to.
It's true. No,
You know what I
it
mean?
is, man.
Like, there's a lot of people that rely on speed and athleticism, and then there's some people that just they know they have the speed and athleticism, but they can do footwork, and those people are Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Those people are Conor McGregor.
Yep.
And
And I'll
you
give
know,
you, Lomachenko is like the perfect example
oh
of a guy
shit,
just
yeah.
finishing guys with the best footwork and defense you'll ever see, but he's putting guys away.
But
You
how
know?
is he like? He's one of the like weird oddities that people don't talk about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's not as famous as Anthony Ruiz, who won one big fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
this dude's out here driving a fucking
yeah.
Rolls Royce. Lomachenko is the shit. Like this dude is the man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know.
everybody likes a chubby Mexican guy, So Ruiz gets that, he's just like a good-natured guy, man. That interview he did with Rogan, like I think that cemented
Right?
him in the hearts of so many people, man. When Rogan asked him what does he do for nutrition, and he answered sandwiches. Like that's it, man. I'm a fan for life. I'm gonna ride or die
Yeah.
with this guy.
Yeah, I liked his interview with Rogan. It was a little bit tough for me to sit through all of it. Some of it I was like kind of like, all right, man, this guy's like, I don't know. He I don't know. He gave a lot of like boxing guy answers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I feel like you're used to hearing these MMA interviews where people are very in depth, and
yeah,
boxing interviews are often the opposite, and I don't know why. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because like you think they'd be more intense. You know who had a really interesting interview with Joe Rogan? Was Evander Holyfield? Did you ever listen to
Dude,
that
I
episode?
did.
The
Yeah.
story he tells about like after him and Mike Tyson have the fight where Tyson bites his ear off, and then they both end up in the
An
elevator
elevator.
together
Holy shit.
alone, go down the elevator, the doors open. How would you like to have been at the bottom of that
Oh
elevator? Like
God.
them walk out of that elevator. Holy shit,
Could you
man.
imagine being on that elevator with them? Like just
Dude,
oh
yeah, like one guy in the corner, like, holy shit,
yeah.
what's
Nope.
gonna happen?
I'm gonna get off here and take the stairs, man. Like,
Not me. I'm watching the
yeah.
whole way.
Oh, buddy. I
I'm
don't want to be like
instigating. Hey man, how's your ear?
you're gonna get caught with something.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, man, maybe you get slapped around a little bit. But hey, if
Oh,
Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson slap you around a little bit, that's probably your best day of your life because
that is true.
they're about to pay you not to sue them, and I'll gladly take a shot from both of them if it means I can get a little cash.
Right.
But
Put the kid through college.
right, I'm not
Yeah.
litigious, but if you guys want to pay me to punch me in the face, I'm
I mean,
game.
I'm taking one for sure. I used to get punched in the face for free, so what's the difference,
I've been punched in the face a bunch for free, and it was not sanctioned, and there were no gloves.
No, it's not cool.
No, not at all cool. But hey, I think like getting punched in the face once or twice is like a required rite of passage. As like
Yeah.
a like you learn a lot about yourself when you get hit in the nose. I would say
Yeah. And it,
that's
you know, it
that
breaks the seal, man. It's one of those things where you get hit and you go like, "Oh, that's not so bad." You know? And then you get hit in the body and you go, "Oh my God, that is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. Please, for the love of God, never let that happen again." And then they start hitting you in the face and you're like, "Oh, thank God, that's so much better." It's a good body shot will change your life, man.
Yeah, yeah. I love finish by body shot. Those are always the best.
Yeah.
When you crumple, when you see a fighter crumple, from the kick to the liver, or the just
Oof.
the like those Stipe shots to the body on DC. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he ate the first few of them. Jeez,
Mm-hmm.
no thank you, no thank you at all.
Yeah, no kidding, man. And especially in MMA, those little gloves, love them or hate them, believe the hype train or not. But Pico, man, Pico had some beautiful body work in those tiny little gloves, just digging them in there.
Yeah, for sure. But you throw all the body shots you want, and you leave your chin open like
Yeah.
as you're about to get knocked out. And clearly, homeboy has the knockoutable chin. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
some dudes that can take it, and some dudes go out. He goes out hard.
Yeah.
When that dude went down,
No,
like
It's one of those where when the guy goes down, the ref starts moving immediately. Like, there is no, let's wait and see. That wasn't, there's no second guessing like
Yeah.
what just happened.
Yeah. There's those. It used to be back in the day on the MMA.tv forums. They used to have the on the underground. They had the like a thread of all these different kind of knockouts, and they had the falling tree knockout. That's what they would call it. You just stiffen up and just.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
I tell people, generally speaking, you're going to see three types of knockouts. You're going to see a flash. The guy gets hit, his legs go, like his strings get cut, but it's like you can see it in their eyes that they're still there.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to get control of their faculties again. You'll see the next one, which is worse than that. The guy gets hit and they crumple. And occasionally when they hit the ground, they can almost bounce back a little bit and try to or the next punch wakes them up and then they start wrestling or whatever. And that's a 50-50 if they're going to be safe or not. And then there's the stiff as a board, out they go, man. And it's just, you hate seeing one of those.
I don't like seeing those, but those ones, yeah, or you love it. Oh. Those ones where people like come back to, those ones kind of freak me out because like you're gonna probably get knocked out twice.
Yeah,
it's kind of worse in some regard. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Whatever. Well, I guess that's a terrible note that we can go out on. People having brain damage. I guess that's why we're all here, right? I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably enjoy watching people get beat up or beat people up. So I would like to say, please watch people do it professionally and don't go watch people beat each other up in parking lots on World Star. If you could stop promoting that kind of shit, that would it would literally save lives. So.
Yep.
So stay inside and also don't go take World Star videos. Those are your two action items that I'd like to promote.
be the hero that steps in and goes, now fellas, let's talk about things.
Yeah, or just don't pull out your phone. Just walk away, man. Like you don't need to be a part of that. You don't want to see it. Like really.
Yeah.
And if it's at a gas station in like Alabama, for sure someone's pulling out a gun. So let's just don't be a part of that. You don't need to be at the Quick Trip right now. You don't want to be at the QT at like 1:30. We've all watched First 48. We know what's going to happen. Come on, man.
Nothing good.
Stay away. Nothing good. But anyway, man, thanks for filling in. It was good talking.
You too.
We'll probably get together with Jake again, and we'll have that going on. Soon, where the three of us will chit chat, but we'll hopefully have Jake back next week where he and I can talk about the NFL draft that has passed and other things MMA and football related, because that's how we do it. And we'll talk about food because Jake was just texting me about what cereals I should go buy. That's he's a good friend, knowing I want to lose weight, telling me what cereal to eat. Thanks, you dick. But if you wouldn't mind, please go to YouTube and subscribe to The Writer and the Fighter on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can hear us. We're out there. And hit Jake up on social media. He is at Uber Smitty on all social media. I am at David Gold MMA on Twitter, and Jordan is at On Target Training PDX on all his social media.
You got it.
I think there's underscores, but if you type in those,
you'll find me.
It'll be there. He's got a good Instagram page. He's always posting fun videos. They're inspirational. So get out there and follow man on the IG, and we will talk to y'all next time. Thanks again, Jordan.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Take care.
And